Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We are back on Wednesday morning, coming off a Giants 6th straight win, a comeback win over the Colorado Rockies, where they came back from down 3 runs in the 9th inning, hung a 4 spot, as one does in Coors Field. Finally showed some life after looking pretty dead in the water for most of the game. And, they came back. They won another 1-run game. It's their 6th straight 1-run game that they have won. I think they've actually played like 8 or 9 straight 1-run games or 10 straight going back to the Padres series. Kind of insane. It would be great if they could just put a laugher together for one of these games and, maybe win a game by, 2 runs. That'd be really nice to see. But they got a game, they got a game in Colorado against a team that you really can't afford to lose games to, given how the rest of the division is playing them and given how bad they are overall. So 2 more in Colorado. Got to at least win 2 this series. They really probably need to sweep the Rockies, who are on like a historically bad pace a year after the White Sox were historically bad. So, we'll see how it goes. But the big news of yesterday was that Matt Chapman hit the IL. It's the first time he's hit the IL with the Giants. He's only had a couple IL stints in his entire career. He tried to dive back on a pickoff attempt on Sunday afternoon. I'm sorry. And, he said he thought he might have torn felt like he tore ligaments in his fingers. And, that's not encouraging to hear. Now the team came out, they said they did an MRI, x-rays. They said it's just hand inflammation, which, if it's just hand inflammation, maybe he's only going to be on the IL for the minimum 10 days. But then it comes out that he's going to go see a hand specialist in LA. And Chapman himself made some comments of basically, I'm hoping to be back by the end of the first half, before the first half ends. Well, I mean, that's kind of, defined as around the All-Star break. So now we're talking about a month or more that he might be out. And if they're getting it looked at by a hand specialist, that leads me to believe that, the team doctors probably did see something with the ligaments or with something in his hand that they didn't like, but they're not experts on that. They're not specialists. So that's why they're having him see it. It's pretty discouraging because he is definitely one of the more pivotal players on the team. He's one of their best position players all around. Yes, his offense sometimes leave things to be desired, especially with runners in scoring position. Sure, but he's still a power threat. He still plays Gold Glove defense at third base. He's still overall, when you look at their lineup, probably their 3rd or 4th best hitter on the season. So this is definitely a big blow to the team. Now, where do the Giants go from here? How can they, withstand this injury? Well, a lot of people are pointing externally. I think that's going to be a pretty tricky situation. They're going to have to fill it internally, at least in the interim. If you go external, there's not a ton of options out there. A lot of teams are not willing to make trades this early. One of the ones that might be willing is a team that they're currently playing, the Rockies, who are obviously way out of it. But with the 3rd wild card, there's not a lot of teams that are out of it 68 games into the season. So, maybe the Rockies, they have Ryan McMahon. He's on an expiring contract. He's been he's a great defender. He's been a power threat. Now, this season, his offensive numbers have taken a dip. He's barely above a 700 OPS on the season. Maybe a change of scenery would do him well. I do question if the Giants would really want to give up any kind of decent prospect for a guy that they really only are looking at needing for about a month, maybe a month and a half to cover for Chapman. So yeah, it's a bit questionable there on how much they're going to be willing to spend. I do think this puts an emphasis on getting another bat, even if it's not at, third base specifically. They could look at a guy like Ryan O'Hearn and try and bulk up elsewhere, whether that's getting a bat that can play corner outfield and first base and giving him a ton of at-bats that they can get that production at another position. The obvious fit right now, or the obvious fill-in for this spot, is Casey Schmidt. And this is a person that, this is why I said all offseason, unless they were going to get something of significant value for Schmidt, it didn't make sense to trade him. He was and still is their best option if Adames gets hurt, if Fitzgerald gets hurt, if Matt Chapman gets hurt. And especially with Chapman, I specifically said the fact that you have a guy that if Matt Chapman were to ever get hurt by a freak injury, because he's been very durable in his career, can step in and you can almost lose nothing defensively because Casey Schmidt is that good defensively at third base. The fact that you have a guy that you can basically replace Chapman and on the defensive side at least lose very little of the value, that's incredibly valuable to the team. And it's going to rear its head right now. And I know a lot of people have concerns with Casey with his swing and miss and all these different things. I'm very interested to see what happens when he gets everyday playing time going forward. I, as everyone here is aware, I've always defended Casey. A lot of that has to do with things like he was receiving inconsistent playing time. It's very difficult for a young player to come up to the major leagues, sit on the bench every day, and get 1 start a week or 2 starts a week and average, about 7 at bats a week tops. It's very difficult for young players to do that. That's like kind of a learned skill. That's why veterans are usually your bench players, guys that have been around and done it forever. Casey Schmidt was kind of put in that situation. He's, not been playing his natural position for years now. He got a little bit of a run at third in 2023 when JD Davis was injured, but mainly he's been playing either shortstop, second base. This season, he's playing first base. He's constantly playing spots that aren't his natural spots. He's been playing them when he's just learned the position, where he didn't, have even an off season to learn the position. He kind of just got thrown into it and he's figured it out on the fly because he's such a good glove. And, that does bleed into your offense from time to time, where guys make a miscue defensively and they have a hard time letting it go on the offensive side. So this is going to be his best shot. Of all the reasons I've defended Casey over the years, like, this is put up or shut up time for him. This is his best shot. This is when he's gotten his opportunity that he's been waiting around for. That he's got his chance where he's going to get to play his natural position every day. So he shouldn't have to worry about the defensive side of things, and he's going to get every day at bats. And so he's going to have probably a month. If I had to guess, he'll probably have about a month to convince the team that not only am I an answer in the short term, I'm an answer in the long term, or you're comfortable with him as a major leaguer, or you're comfortable with him in the utility role going forward the rest of the season, where he can really prove a lot to a lot of people within the organization, within the fan base, etc. So, like, this is a shot. And I do believe that he has shown some incremental improvements in different categories that a lot of people have significant concerns with him. You look at his chase rate. 2023, it was at 38.5%. 2024, he dropped it down to 36.8, so just a little bit better. This season, it's at 34.8, so a little bit better, and it's actually been trending down. So I keep an eye on some of these things with certain players, because it's always interesting when they have a big flaw in their game to see if they're improving on that. You look at his walk rate, 4.7 in 2023. 3.5% in 2024. This season, it's at 8.1%. A lot of people might look at the walk rate and go, well, that's not sustainable because we've seen what he's done the last few years. Well, in AAA, in 2023, it was at 6.5%. This 2024, it was at 9.3%. And this season, very small sample size, it was over 11%. So you're watching Casey make these improvements to his plate discipline, his swing decisions as a whole. He's swinging at better pitches to hit. Now he hasn't had a lot of, good results to show for it this season when it comes to some of his swing decisions. He's hit a lot of balls hard. He's had a few 110 plus mile per hour, off the bat exit velocity balls where it's kind of jumped off the page a little bit and you saw it, it stood out. And some of them have just been at people. And when it's such a small sample size, it amplifies your numbers because You see this and you're like, oh, he's hitting a $180. Well, he got his start yesterday. He went 2 for 4, hit a home run, had good decisions most of the game, didn't chase a bunch. We'll see. It's a month is a long time, and he's got a chance to really show something. And if he does, it could get very interesting at other positions potentially, because obviously he's not going to play third base. They're committed to Matt Chapman. Long term, that's not going to be his spot, even if it is his best spot. But if he has a great month going into the trade deadline, it can raise his value for the Giants if they were to look to trade him for another team that might be interested in him. So it does something for him league wide. If he has a great month, maybe they look at him. And Tyler Fitzgerald's been a bit up and down. His at bats have looked a bit better recently, but he's had a lot of lows this season. He's had some highs. We'll kind of see. I don't think they're completely committed to Tyler Fitzgerald at second base long term. Casey can make them rethink that. I think he'd be a better defender at second than Tyler Fitzgerald is. And if he can figure it out with the bat, you might just have a better all-around player. So we'll see. This is going to be really interesting this next month, how this shakes out. But it's time for him. There's no more excuses. This is his best shot. I look forward to seeing what he does. I think around the team, though, we can't expect Casey to pick up, all the production they're losing from Matt Chapman. That's not fair to Casey. That's not realistic for the team. The big elephant in the room is it's going to be time for Willy Adames to make that, to earn that paycheck, because he's really going to need to be the one to step up. And yesterday, to his credit, he had a great game. Sack fly in the first, home run, drew a big walk after falling behind 0-2. We saw a couple minor adjustments. Seems like he's getting his foot down a little quicker at the plate. You can definitely tell he's actually moved closer to the plate in the batter's box. That reset might have just been what he needed. All things considered, though, he needs to get going. They're going to need somebody to pick up Chapman's production. Lee, he's heating up a little bit. Mike Yastrzemski's had 2 straight now solid games where he's come up with big hits. Maybe they get some more of the production there. Ramos is going to need to keep swinging it well. They're just going to have to it might just have to be a collaborative effort on this one, where they're going to need to get a little bit more production out of everybody up and down the lineup. And then hopefully Casey can give you that Gold Glove caliber third base while at least putting up like a 700 OPS. If he does that, then I don't think there's a single Giants fan that should be complaining about the production you got out of your guy, the guy that was backing up an all-star caliber player. That's just my opinion. So that's all I have for this topic. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes going forward. The team's 11 games over 500. They're half game behind the Dodgers in first place in the West. They're right in the thick of it. So they've got a shot. Let's see if they can kind of hold their ground while they're down one of their best players. And we'll see. But if you guys enjoy the content, do please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing a giveaway when we get to 1,750 subscribers. We are about 13 short of that right now. So we are closing in fast. So make sure you do that. We're now on Spotify. I'm going to be posting the live shows regularly every week. When we get interviews and special guests, we'll definitely post those on there as well. It's mainly for the longer format stuff. But the minor league updates as of right now, I'm keeping those to just YouTube. Although if you guys think that you want to hear those on Spotify, please drop a comment. Let me know if that's what you guys want, because I will happily put those on as well. With the highlights, though, I know it's a better viewing experience on YouTube because we like to slap all the minor league highlights in there. That's all I got, though. Go Giants, and hopefully we get another dub today.